New Earth, new year, new season of Doctor Who. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Kevin, I am a geek and you are back watching Kevin the Geek. Now, Happy New Year first of all to every single one of you. If you are a new viewer, welcome, please subscribe to the channel. If you are returning, welcome back. Now this is time to start Series 2 of my New Who Doctor Who reviews as we start with Episode 1, New Earth. Now, if you have seen any of my Doctor Who reviews before, you will know that I use a scoring system in order to tally up and rank which episodes I think are the best. Now, I am going to do it slightly differently moving on here forward. Rather than giving the score at the end of each category, I'm just going to do it at the end. It just makes things a little bit easier for future Kevin when he is doing the editing. There are 10 different categories in which I score out of 10 to give an overall score out of 100 so I can determine which are the best episodes. But for now, let's get into it. So I really like the story that this sets out to tell. It's a hospital in the far future and there are a load of cat people who are the nurses and they are effectively trying to rid the entire universe, particularly the planet, but really the whole universe. They're trying to rid it of all known diseases, but in order to cure these known diseases, you've got to come up with cures. And the only way that they kind of see fit that they can really cure all these people is to create people and effectively pump them through tons and tons of all these illnesses and sort of retroactively then create the cures from these people that have had all these illnesses pumped into them. And it's a really interesting concept. It's handled okay and it really throws into a lot of philosophical questions. You know, are these really people if their only purpose has been created in order to do this? It would be a similar kind of thing if you literally created lab rice that are purely for the focus of, you know, scientific experiments. And the Doctor basically morally says, no, these are all living creatures and you are doing bad things to them. I like the story that it tries to tell. I think it detracts too much from the fact that they do a lot of running away once all these people get released. So it definitely could have been a little bit better. Now, the Doctor and Rose in this one is a really hard one to really categorise because technically they're hardly in the episode. David Tennant and Billie Piper are in it quite a bit, but they continuously get possessed by the essence, if you like, of Cassandra. So it's basically Cassandra in the body of the Doctor or Cassandra in the body of Rose. And you have to give good praise to both Billy and to David because they're acting as someone in a body of someone else that they're being. It's a hard thing to be able to do as an actor, to effectively portray multiple things within one body. And they do it really, really well. I think the Doctor gets more focus than Rose does really in this episode. But I do like the fact that when she is Rose, Rose actually is starting to take a little bit more of a step up compared to how she has been in previous episodes. I think throughout all of season 1, she was a bit of a passenger. Here in the start of season 2, and you saw it in the Christmas episode, she's beginning to take a little bit more of a leadership role, and I quite like that. And you have quite a few supporting characters within this. You have, of course, various members of the cat nurses. You have various odd bodies here and there throughout the episode, and what they were doing was really strong and really helping as a supporting character to support the story. And they did a really good job in this episode. I would say, again, I would probably have to categorize David Tennant and Billy Piper when they're possessed by Cassandra in those specific moments as the supporting character, because it is technically Cassandra. There were a few odd little moments from some of the supporting characters, a bit too much squealing and screaming when the sort of the infected kind of come out, but for the most part they did a good job. Now the villain of the piece, I wouldn't really so much say in this episode it was Cassandra as much as it was in The End of the World. I think this time Cassandra's a little bit more supporting. Yes, she has a bit of a villainous kind of plot, really, but you'd probably say that the cat people are the villains, and then also the infected people that, but again, could you really say that they're villains when the Doctor basically turns around and says they're just, because they've grown up in darkness and they've never seen anyone before, they just want to know what it's like to be touched. It's a bit of a weird one, but I think the villains did a good job in this episode. It was more, I would say, a moral quandary of a villain rather than an outright I want to kill everybody kind of thing, in the way that the Daleks may be considered a villain. So it's a very different type of villain, but it was really good. Now with the music of the episode, straight away I thought it is a step up from season 1. It's a lot more balanced throughout the episode. You have some nice instrumental moments, and even the action pieces weren't too heavy and bombastic like they probably were in quite a few instances in the first season. So they're starting to find a balance there. And I would say the same thing about the special effects. Yes, there are some noticeable moments, and again, it's when you go into the wider sections when you just got a bit of a small set and then you kind of have to fill in the rest with the green screen and everything else. But the outside images, when you see the big wide shots of the planet and things like that, they looked really good. Now the costumes of the episode, like I always say, anything that's set in the modern day, I always have a bit of an issue with. And some of the futuristic ones that we had in season 1 just felt too modern for it to be conceivable as something in the far-flung future. In this one, there were a few subtle moments, like you have the mayor, who is, pretty much dressed in typical mayor wear, which, again, could you argue maybe wouldn't be such a thing in the far-flung futures? But overall, I thought the costumes were really, really solid. And I love David Tennant's new outfit with the suit and the coat and everything. I absolutely do. The dialogue of the episode was really solid and really consistent throughout. Yes, you, again, could have some arguments here and there. There were some kind of questionable moments, I would say. What I didn't quite understand is when you made a joke in the first episode in season 1, when she says, I used to be a boy. They then, weirdly, in this one, put a situation when Cassandra goes into David Tennant's body, into the Doctor's body, she makes the quip,
Cassandra? Goodness me, I'm a man. Young. So many parts. And hardly used.
It's a little bit weird that they kind of go with the two opposites there. Maybe it's just a case that Russell T Davies forgot what he put, the first time out. That's a possibility. But for the most part, I really enjoyed the dialogue in this episode. It was really, really strong. So with the set, I think they did a really good transition to show the difference between the crisp, clean hospital and then the darker side of the hospital, where they do some of the more questionable elements. Like when you see all of the pods that these kind of people are being kept in when they're being grown and everything like that, you initially see a practical row of them, but then you see a big, massive green screen kind of fill-in of the many hundreds of floors worth of them. So, a little bit detracting, but overall, I like the set and I like that kind of contrast between the two. So, that is my review of New Earth. Let's work out the scores. So, for the story, I'm going to score it 7 out of 10. The Doctor's going to get another 7 out of 10, as does Rose. The supporting characters are going to get a 5 out of 10, but the villain, unfortunately, will go for a 4 out of 10. The music gets a 6 out of 10. The special effects, 6 out of 10. The dialogue, 6 out of 10. The costumes and the set both get 7 out of 10. That means New Earth scores 62 marks out of 100, which gives it a C+ rating. So this was definitely a stronger start to the series compared to Series 1. And I think this isn't the kind of one where you can kind of jump on board if you're a new viewer. You do it better if you have seen the first series, because you've got that kind of dynamic between the Doctor and Rose. Yes, they're having to work things out a little bit because it's a new Doctor and Rose doesn't quite know how he's going to be. And to be honest, the Doctor doesn't quite know how he's going to be either. But overall, it's a positive start to the series. It's definitely an improvement on Series 1 overall, as a general rule, but there is definitely even further that you can go even more. What did you think of New Earth? Please drop a comment down below, and remember to subscribe to the channel if you're new. I'd love to see you on my journey. Remember, we have Doctor Who content every Wednesday. I will do Torchwood in a few weeks when we get to the end of Series 2, after the Season 2 finale, obviously, and that will be Torchwood Tuesdays. But then we also have Marvel Mondays and Ted Lasso Thursdays. But for now, my name is Kevin, I am a geek, and you have been watching Kevin the Geek. Goodbye.